Good evening, everyone. I'm Ola Wojtkiewicz, and I'm Executive Director here at Creative Edinburgh. We are an arts charity dedicated to serving and supporting creative freelancers and startups in the city. And we do that in multiple ways through partnership events, just like that series, Making Festivals Happen. We have skills development programs, we run a mentoring program, and we do a lot of advocacy on your behalf, speaking to the Scottish Government and local authority and other agencies to make sure that freelancers working across all creative sectors are supported, listened to, and are able to thrive in Edinburgh. And I'm delighted that we've had an opportunity over the last 3 years to work with Festivals Edinburgh. We launched this partnership in 2022, and the idea behind this was to connect creative practitioners who are based in the city with our 11 amazing international festivals which operate in Edinburgh. And we thought there was a little bit of demystifying to be done. We wanted to help people understand how festivals work, how do you get in touch with them, what opportunities come for local people, and we wanted this to be easier and more pleasurable for everyone on the ground. And the idea was for our two organizations to collectively support 2030 vision for resilient and ambitious festival city. That's a strategic framework which supports that kind of activity. And I'm pleased to say that we have managed to deliver 5 3 beautiful events which were attended by over 500 people, including yourselves who are tonight in the room. All the 11 international festivals were invited to contribute, and they came and spoke and shared resources and websites and leaflets. And for me personally, it feels like a huge success because we've been told that it has felt like we have opened the doors for many people who wouldn't have otherwise realized that there are opportunities for them to work at festivals. And just tonight, I spoke to Imaginate, the Children's Festival, and to Edinburgh Science Festival, and they told me that 4 people have got jobs with them through this series of events. So I'm just saying it's really good opportunity to chat and ask questions. So the final thing from me is I really hope that we can continue this partnership in one shape or form. And thank you so much for joining us tonight, and really looking forward to chatting with you if you wish to pick my brains. And I'm now going to pass on to Laurie Anderson, who is new director of Festivals Edinburgh.
Hi everybody, thanks to Ola, thanks very much everybody for coming. It's lovely to see you all. For those that aren't aware of who Festivals Edinburgh are, we are the strategic umbrella organisation that works alongside the 11 major year-round festivals in Edinburgh. And we have a remit to support their work, to work on collaborative projects and initiatives, and to support Edinburgh as a growing, thriving festival city. So we do lots of projects and initiatives around that. Some of the examples of that around marketing work, we work on an international delegation programme. We work with stakeholders on advocacy work, and we do lots of exciting collaboration projects, and we do the odd boring thing like working on policy where it affects festivals, but as a whole for the greater good. I'm not going to repeat what Ola said about why we have done Making Festivals Happen. I mean, we've been really pleased with the programme, and it's allowed us to connect better with the creative community in Edinburgh, which has been really valuable. And as Ola says, it's allowed us to access some fantastic, amazing people and give them opportunity at the festivals, which is obviously what a huge part of this programme is about. I think Zoe's going to be providing a bit more detail on the specifics of tonight, but I myself started my career in the culture sector at the Fringe many years ago. I won't tell you what year, but I was 19 and I had a job at one of the Gilded Balloon venues during August. I was working behind a bar and I was working on the 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift. So those were the days, and if anybody would like any colourful stories, see me later. But I have to say, it was an incredibly formative and inspiring time, and the festivals continue to give me that every time I have any connections with them year-round. So you cannot go wrong, I believe, in taking up an opportunity with the festivals. It really is an incredible opportunity. So just to give you a bit more information for when tonight's finished, we are now in launch season, and the Science Festival launched their programme for 2025 this week. So opportunities will be coming on board and being made available. Please have a look at our website, because we maintain a listing across all the festivals where we post up-and-coming jobs. So do use that as a resource. It's a great place to find what's coming up and what opportunities there are. And we ourselves, from time to time, do have opportunities, particularly in the peak season, for fixed-term contracts, often around marketing, digital, and we also have opportunities often around our international delegate programme Momentum. And as mentioned, Verity is here, our international programmes manager, who can give anybody any insights to that if they're interested. And finally, I just wanted to thank you all for coming. It's a great turnout, and we really appreciate your interest in the festivals. Thank you to those festivals that are here tonight, and for all those that have participated in the events throughout the programme. Thank you to Creative Edinburgh for being a great collaborative partner. It's been really enjoyable and a really good learning process, and the team has worked really hard on all the coordination. And I want to say a special thank you to Helen True, who has been working with us over the last year and has done a huge amount of tireless work around community engagement and supporting these events. So thank you and enjoy this evening.
I'm Matt. I'm the Art Support and Projects Manager at the Fringe Society. Oh, hello. There's a few familiar faces in the room, but it's really great to see everyone here. I'm going to give a kind of really, I suppose, introductory overview of kind of the way jobs generally work at the Fringe and where opportunities lie. I guess it's going to be quite a general overview, but obviously we're here for a wee while, and if you want to grab me afterwards, we've obviously got lots of opportunities to ask any more specific questions that you might have. Okay. So I'm going to start at the very beginning, which is, what is the Fringe? The Fringe is a wee bit different from the other festivals that happen in August, in the sense that it doesn't have like a single managing organisation or curator. There's not a single body that produces the shows or programs the shows. Everything happens independently. And when people talk about the Fringe being an open access festival, that's what they mean. There's not a single person that's basically inviting people to participate. At the same time, there's still a kind of central organisation that exists to support the festival happening, to support all the artists, participating, all the venues that put on shows, as well as industry and media and audiences that come to Edinburgh to check things out in August. And that organisation is the Fringe Society, which is the organisation that I work for. The Fringe Society has like 3 primary kind of aims and functions as an organisation. One is to support audiences that are coming to find work, so that's primarily through ticketing and through the Fringe programme that we produce, through the website obviously as well, where we list all the shows that are happening. And also, I mean, things like the Fringe venue map, and just generally helping people navigate what is quite a large festival with many independent parts. Second kind of general function of the Fringe Society, I guess, is to advocate for and promote the Fringe as a festival. So, you know, the Fringe Society can do that from an impartial perspective in a way that individual venue operators and promoters maybe couldn't. And then the final kind of aim of the Fringe Society is to support the artists and the venues of the Fringe, and I see that as kind of the central the central kind of function of what the Fringe Society is, and the other 2 aims kind of lead into that. So, in terms of like roles at the Fringe Society, I'm going to talk about them in terms of like two different kind of categories. The first being customer service roles. So, we do have loads of positions that come up in August. Those are generally kind of box office positions, so we employ loads of box office staff. We also do the street events, look after the street events that happen on the Royal Mile. We get a little bit of money from the council to kind of help facilitate all of those performances happening. So we have various jobs that are part of that. We also do various other kind of projects that sit a little bit between kind of customer facing and industry facing. We do a lot of outreach work and engagement projects, and we have lots of links with community groups and different organisations that try and support the arts and try and support the local community in Edinburgh. And so there's roles that come about kind of in that kind of area, and those are the kind of customer facing side of things that we have. The other side is industry-facing roles. I think there's such a variety of different kinds of things you can do at the Fringe, and a lot of that comes from the kind of open access nature of it. There's no such thing as like a typical Fringe show or a typical Fringe venue. That's because nobody is saying what can or can't be a Fringe show or a Fringe venue. So when people talk about what a Fringe venue is, it could be anything from the back room of a pub to a 1,000+ capacity theatre that kind of operates year round. So the industry facing roles we have are kind of positions that support that diverse group of participating individuals, organizations, companies. And so they're quite varied, in terms of what you actually do in those jobs. Some examples of the kind of roles we have at the organization would be, artist and venue support. That's the kind of area that my work lies in. I've worked for the Artist Services Department within the Fringe Society for maybe 10, 15 years now, and I love it. I love kind of speaking to artists every day, giving advice to people who do creative things, and hearing about what that work is. We have a few roles that kind of help artists in different ways. The work I've done, generally speaking, has been advising on the logistics of doing Fringe shows. It's been working on projects that support the Fringe in a kind of wider way. So, for example, we're currently delivering the Keep It Fringe Fund, which is a funding opportunity, which is giving out £2,500 to 180 different Fringe artists this year, and that obviously takes a lot of work to put in place, but it's also a really kind of rewarding bit of work to be involved in, because you get to try and ensure that that the money that is available to Fringe artists is going in the right places and supporting the right kind of work. Although that sounds like a bit of a dodgy phrase, right kind of work, in the context of open access and everything else. But hopefully you know what I mean. We also have teams like our show registration team. I think if you're looking to get into the industry, something like a job with our show registration team is a really good entry point, because you really get to understand the scale of the festival, the different kinds of thing that happens as part of the Fringe. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to speak to a hugely varied set of artists and venue operators, and you just learn a lot through the day-to-day work of that team. And that's basically getting all the information from shows and venues to then be able to sell tickets and do all the other projects we do to support people participating in the Fringe. We also have an industry team and a media team. So while we have loads of venues and loads of shows that come to Edinburgh in August to perform and put on kind of spaces for artists to, I'm stumbling over my words here. So we have the venues and we have the artists, but then also we have industry and media, right? So we have, over 1,000, I think last year we had like 1,700 individual accredited industry professionals. So basically they are people that come to the Fringe to find work, generally speaking to book that work. That might be for a tour or for another venue or another festival. There's also people like agents and, you know, promoters, people who are kind of looking to connect with artists and maybe not necessarily to immediately directly book them themselves, but to collaborate in some way in the future. And the Fringe Society and that specific team, is their kind of role is to be the middleman essentially between the industry and the artists that they're trying to find. So that's also a really, you know, interesting bit of work that we do, that you can learn a lot about how the marketplace that the festival is works. You know, a lot of people look at the Fringe as being an arts marketplace because of the, you know, that opportunity that it presents people participating within it. The media team that we have do a similar thing with media. So, you know, we have an equivalent number of media professionals that come to Edinburgh to review work, to do features on work. And yeah, the media team are that kind of middleman again there. We also have marketing and sponsorship team who promote the work that we do, promote the festival as a whole. That's another one that's kind of in a bit of a grey area. It's both for kind of audiences as a whole, but also works closely with industry. What else have I got? How to apply. So yeah, we kind of post all our vacancies on our website. They'll go up on Creative Scotland's opportunities portal, all of those kinds of places. In terms of when we're you know, putting out those kinds of positions, it really depends on the position you're looking at. At different points in the year, there'll be different kinds of things being recruited for. If you're interested in when one of those specific kinds of jobs comes available, chat to me after, we can talk about when it would be worth you particularly keeping an eye out for it. Venues and beyond. So obviously, Fringe Society exists, has all those positions, but we're not the ones directly programming work, and we're not the people who are producing shows. So, you know, the Fringe is the largest arts festival in the world in terms of the number of tickets sold, number of individual people attending the events that form the festival. And with that, you know, there's obviously a huge amount of job opportunities and different kinds of role that you can take on yourself to be kind of more directly involved in it. So I've got some examples there. I'm not going to talk through each of them and what they are. I think most people would kind of understand what most of these positions are, but it gives you a kind of flavor of the diversity of role that exists out there in Fringe. I guess I would think about what I said earlier about the difference in scale between different Fringe venues and the fact that anything can be a Fringe show. And what that means is, you know, there's different organizations, individuals, and you know, opportunities out there that just vary dramatically. And, you know, your experience working for a venue that's a year-round organization and has a huge infrastructure of support, it's going to be quite different from you working at maybe a more kind of DIY operation. But there's kind of benefits to both of those different opportunities, and I think it's worth thinking about what you want to do, what you want to get from working at the Fringe, and what kind of, you know, company or show or venue, or, you know, what fits with those kinds of aspirations that you might have for your career. So if you're looking at, you know, programming comedy, and you're really into your comedy, and you've got a passion for that, and you have aspirations to, I don't know, go and work for BBC or something like that, it might make more sense to try and get your foot in the door at a venue that has kind of a programming background of hosting comedians that have been on TV, or the kind of comedy that you want to be working alongside. And, you know, obviously you're not going to jump right into being, you know, a venue programmer for a high-profile venue. But, you know, getting your foot in the door, making the early connections, getting an understanding of the festival, getting an understanding of how those kinds of things work by being next to it is the best way you can approach that, in my opinion. So, yeah, there's other roles up there. Producer, and, you know, something like producer, that's a word that can have many different meanings depending on the context it's used and the industry that it's relating to. You know, ask one person what they do as a producer, and it might be completely different to another person. Again, that comes to that diversity of work that happens at the Fringe, and the nature of kind of self-producing and everything else that kind of complicates that a little bit. But again, think about like, what is it that you're looking for as an opportunity from working at the festival, and how can you get closest to that in the roles that you're looking at. There's all the same kind of customer-facing roles that I mentioned with the Fringe Society. Obviously, if you're working with a venue, you maybe have, you're slightly closer to the work itself. So in terms of choosing where you want to work, that's something to consider. So Fair Work is really important. I could spend a half hour talking about Fair Work. I'm not going to, because I've only got 1 minute. But it's an important thing. And at the Fringe, there have been some questionable situations with work opportunities. So what I'm saying is, definitely research the kind of positions you're looking for. If you have any questions, if you have a bad experience, don't hesitate to get in touch with me specifically or the Fringe Society so we can help you navigate that and make sure that the opportunities you're going for are as they're advertised and are being delivered in the most appropriate way. Check your contracts. Volunteering also can be bad but can be good. That's all I'm going to say about that. There are lots of resources. Speak to me after. I'm going now. Bye.
Just a quick round, have a look at the crowds. Raise your hand if you have been to an Edinburgh International Festival show before. Okay, that's good. What about if you've never heard of the Edinburgh International Festival before? Yeah, okay. One brave man in the middle there. Good for you. I appreciate the honesty. And just quickly, to understand who's in the room, how many people work in sort of marketing, communications, content creation? Okay. And what about, production, putting on the events, etc.? Okay, artist adjacent, kind of, okay, good. Okay, that gives me a bit of an idea. Great. Okay, so my name's Hugo. I'm the head of communications and digital for the Edinburgh International Festival. So my team basically looks after almost all of the kind of the external facing communications that comes out of the festival. So that's everything from our digital communications, so emails and social media, through to kind of the media stuff that you see, and the broader audiences team, which is made up of my team, but also the brand and campaigns team and the ticketing team and discovery and participation. That whole team is basically, that's every single time that an audience member sort of comes into contact with the festival, that the audiences team has something to do with that. So I'm one part of that. But who is the Edinburgh International Festival? So we were established in 1947. We were the original festival. We were the one that started it all. Good. And the Fringe grew up on the fringes of the Edinburgh International Festival. We love the Fringe, but there's a bit of origin story there. We are we're the world's leading multi-genre arts festival. It's a lot easier to type than say. So essentially, we've got a number of art forms that we work across. The idea is that we are a curated festival. So we have a programming team that brings artists from around the world to Edinburgh to perform, and that's across opera, music, both classical and contemporary music, dance, theatre. Yeah, that's everything. And yeah, said that. So it happens 3 weeks in August. I think, obviously we're on at the same time as the Fringe and the Book Festival and the Art Festival and the Tattoo. And am I missing anyone? Huh? No, okay, all right. I'm sure someone will tell me that I've forgotten someone in a sec. But however, what we do spans all year round. So you will see us in schools. Our discovery and participation team does a lot of work, bringing schools, for example, into our venue. We're based in the Hub, which is the top of the Royal Mile. So anyone that's gone up to see the castle will have seen that big Gothic building with sort of red doors as you go up on the left. That is the home of the Edinburgh International Festival. At the moment, the doors are yellow because that's our colour, and we're about to launch our program. So everything kind of everything in that area around the building, if we can help it, turns yellow around between when we launch in March right through to the end of August. And basically we've got 3 strands across our discovery and participation work. There is youth, the youth strand, which deals with young people, both bringing them into concerts and performances, but also going and working with them in schools and things. Community, which is actively working with communities throughout Edinburgh and basically giving them increased access to arts and culture, and also industry as well. And so, you guys might know about this. One useful thing that you might want to know is that there's an arts workers discount at the Edinburgh International Festival. So that should give you a 30% off. Keep that in mind, write that down, and you'll be able to get some discounted tickets for the festival. Right. Some numbers. We'll run through these quickly. So there's 171 performances. We reach about 130,000 audience members. Oof, God, the formatting's gone a bit crazy there. Over 3 weeks in August. Already said that. So we work in established venues. So this is one of the differentiating factors, I think, for the International Festival and other festivals that take place in Edinburgh, is that we will generally go into venues that exist. So, for example, Usher Hall, for example, the Festival Theatre, the King's when it's open, etc., and put on shows within those spaces. And at the moment, there's 12 venues that we're working across Edinburgh. A large proportion of our audience is from Scotland. Despite being an international festival, that surprises some people, 71%. So the reason that we're an international festival is that we have internationalism on our stages. So we bring in international artists and put them on stage, and we put them alongside often Scottish performers. So last year, half of our performers were Scottish, and the rest were international. And so audience-wise, 44% audience Edinburgh-based, and then 12% international. 2,000 artists from over 42 countries. That was last year. We also have another useful fact. We have £10 tickets for every performance of the festival, and 30%, over 50% of our performances are £30 or under. So that's really core to what we try to do in terms of making sure that there's an affordable ticketing scheme, so that cost shouldn't ever be a barrier to trying to get into the festival. Okay, so we've worked across 17 council wards in the city, 16,000 engagement with children, families and communities. That speaks specifically to our discovery and participation work. We have 60 permanent staff and up to 150 temporary staff employed before and throughout August. So that last point is most useful to this specific chat around who we hire and when we hire them. So I mentioned launch of our festival. We launch on the 13th of March, and essentially we will do a little bit of hiring in the lead up to when we launch the program. Then we're in campaign mode between March through to August, and we will do then, basically by August, we normally have all of our staff hired, and we're at our absolute peak for the festival in August, and that's when we expand to 150 temporary staff. 150 temporary staff, a lot of them will be production staff. That's one of the teams which expands the most. And they hire right across the board. They've got basically all of our jobs will be advertised on our website. So if you go to our website, you're able to see what's being advertised. But I thought that because I am from the audiences team, it might be useful just to give you a little bit more context in terms of what we look for within the audiences team when we're hiring. So currently, like I said, we've got branding campaigns, communications and digital, audience experience and ticketing, and discovery and participation. So the branding campaigns team does the paid for advertising. It looks after the look and feel and tone of voice, the way we come across, the yellow. They do a lot of the venue dressing and things that you see around town. The communications digital team, that's my team, will look after sort of the PR, public relations, and how that comes across on print, the broader messaging about the way that the festival is communicated itself. And then obviously on our digital channels, so anything relating to content creation, and social media, website, all that sort of stuff. And then we've got our ticketing team. Ticketing team also hires a lot of staff members, so often you'll find a lot of entry-level positions for the ticketing team, so it's a really good way of getting into the festival. And a lot of people that currently still work in festivals started off working in a box office. It's actually an amazing place to start because you get a really good overview of how the festival works, and you're so front-facing with customers that you arrive not knowing much, and then within a very short period of time, you know a lot because you get asked all the questions, and you find all the answers to the question. You have to be answering those questions, and a lot of people have used that as a way in to learn about the festival, and then have decided, oh, I like the look of X job or Y job or X department, and then they'll sort of look at trying to move within festivals to try and find work within those spaces. But and there's often ticketing jobs which will be temporary, which you can find at a lot of different organizations, because most organizations that are selling tickets will need ticketing staff. Either them or agencies who work on their behalf, etc., will be hiring ticketing teams, and we're no exception. We do our ticketing in-house, and we start hiring essentially beginning of this year. Some of the hiring we do at the end of we would have done at the end of last year. For the ticketing team. And then discovery and participation, the team that I described before, they are all about that year-round engagement with sort of youth, community, and industry as well. Right. This just gives you a quick overview of the audiences team specifically. So we've got our heads of at the top, then we've got, so yellow is obviously permanent staff, and purple is temporary staff. So it gives you an idea, I mean, how much this team specifically expands. What we don't have in there is there are actually more ticketing staff that wouldn't go onto this grid. But you can see that that's kind of broken down. You've got the communications digital, it's got quite a big team, and we've got a lot of hiring that happens around sort of the digital content and that sort of side of things. Right, so specific temporary roles that we're recruiting for at the moment, just a little bit more of information on those. So branding campaigns, they're recruiting for a campaigns assistant. So a lot of these roles are actually up right now, or they are just about to go up on the website. I think some of them might have just closed, but if you think that there's one here that you absolutely are perfectly matched for, and you can't find it on the website, I'll put my details up at the end there, and maybe shoot me a message, and I can see if it's absolutely closed or whether it's just recently closed. But campaigns assistant. So this is an entry-level role, and there's a couple of assistants. There's a digital assistant as well and a media assistant. So the assistants generally are a great way to get into sort of the marketing and comms team. Campaign assistant, there's lots. You end up working on a lot of different projects as assistants, so you get to try your hand at a lot of different things. We're currently recruiting for the publications coordinator. This is working with our copywriter who does a lot of our writing, and there's a lot of project management and things that are needed for that role. We've got lots of different publications which we create in the lead up to the festival itself. So free sheets, brochures, mini guides, all that sort of stuff. So this team member helps to coordinate all that and then make sure it gets to all the right places. Creative art worker, so there's more of a design role. So this would be something where you'd be looking for someone that's got a bit more graphic design experience, and working with our in-house current designer. Within the communications digital team, so content creator, this is something that we have hired for a number of years now, every year, and it's basically a lot of video content creation. We also, what I don't have up on here is we get photographers that we hire every year, and we have other video team members as well. So, if you do have a portfolio and you are a photographer or a videographer, then it's good to just send us that stuff anyway. Then we've got a digital assistant, which again, like the campaigns assistant, is much more kind of entry level. Email officer, which is somebody that's ideally got a bit of background in marketing. We've got media assistant, that's entry level as well. So a lot of these things, you know, you just learn on the job, and because they're temp, you can do it for 6 months. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, well, you can go try something else. And then, you know, front of house manager is currently something that we're recruiting for audience experience in ticketing. So that's working with other venues, but ideally you need a little bit of experience in ticketing for that. But there are, as I said, there are plenty of jobs in ticketing if you don't have the experience. Yeah, all advertised at the moment. As I said, most start in the spring, then run until mid-September at the end of the festival. In all of these roles, you kind of just need to get stuck in. There's almost, you know, there's often maybe a couple of weeks to a month max of a kind of like a bedding in period. But if you're quick on the uptake and you enjoy kind of a challenge, then it's definitely a festival is a great place to work. Requires flexibility. So I think flexibility, commitment, and resilience. Okay, there's very carefully chosen words there. So I think, you know, as we know, working festivals, you will work often longer hours than just the office hours during August. But we are a living wage employer, so even when you're working longer hours, you will absolutely get paid the Scottish living wage. And you know, we're very careful about that. And it's a great place to go and see lots of work. You meet great colleagues. I mean, our team is very fun, very social, and I think you find that with a lot of festivals teams across the board. I think people are there because they enjoy the work, they enjoy what they're doing, and they really care about putting on the shows. Yeah, and actually that last point's a good one. So the temporary roles can actually often become permanent. So again, it's a great way into an organization, and it might be like, you know, initially you think, oh well, do I really want a 6-month contract? But if you you show that you prove your worth, and actually an opportunity comes up within the organization itself, either you can become permanent within that specific role, or there might be other roles which crop up, and because you've done an entry-level role or another role within the organization in a temp role, then you know the organization, and that will be an opportunity to kind of maneuver into that role, because you basically know a lot of the people who will be interviewing you anyway. So I think that's everything from me. Do keep in touch. Those are my details here. Come and say hello afterwards if you want to chat through anything, if you've got any questions or want any advice on, you know, comms and digital or anything like that. So yeah, actually, if you do want advice as well, if you're sort of starting up a festival or something, then do keep in touch, and I'm happy to have a chat. So thank you very much.
Nice to see you all tonight, and thank you Creative Edinburgh and Festivals Edinburgh. So we're from Imaginate. I'm Pamela Walker. I'm the senior producer at Imaginate.
Hello, I'm Fee Fraser. I am the production manager for Imaginate and the Children's Festival, but I'm also a freelance production manager.
And I work full-time for Imaginate year-round. So Imaginate is the national organisation in Scotland which develops and celebrates and presents theatre and dance for children and young people. And our ambition is to have more work for children in Scotland to experience the work that is deeply engaging, innovative, and inspiring. And we believe and uphold that this is every child's right to develop their creativity, emotional intelligence, and reach their true potential. Sorry, I'm reading this because this is our kind of mission statement, and I always forget it. Our vision is driven by the belief that inspiring our young people is essential to not only their individual development, but the development of Scotland and its place in the world. And we strive to achieve this through 3 main strands. Now, children is literally at the heart of our organisation. We try to listen to them, we value their rights, we are always trying to involve them in what we do as a company, whether that's in our programme or our strands of work. So our 3 strands are, firstly, our festival, and we start our year and end our year at our festival. Fee or Fiona is going to talk more about our festival a little bit more. Our festival is an annual celebration of exceptional Scottish and international theatre and dance for young audiences. We're part of an international network of festivals across Europe mainly, but also across the world. And we are seen as one of the world's leading children's festivals. And actually, we're probably more popular out with Scotland than we are in Scotland, which is interesting. We do a creative development programme, which we do year round. And it's actually probably as big as our festival. We have creative development projects year-round working in developing work for young audiences. We hold events throughout the year. We are an advocate for people who want to work in our industry. We're an advocate for children and their rights to see work. We talk at a lot of events. So if you want to know about our creative development programme and you're an artist and interested in the artistry, then you can go and look on our website. We're talking tonight specifically about festival, but we do really, really interesting stuff, and it's great what we do. The third strand is schools and communities. So we have two particular strands. So we do a big project called Creative Encounters, which is in North Edinburgh, in partnership with North Edinburgh Arts, Pilton Youth, Fourth View Primary School, I can't remember Spartans, which is an alternative school. And it's a 3-year project in which we've been developing the sort of voice of the child, but also there's a group of children from each of those companies that choose work for our festival and kind of are working alongside us to kind of be a voice for our company as well. But also we have a national touring project called Theatre in School Scotland, and that is in partnership with the National Theatre of Scotland, and it's their 9th year this year, 10 next year, which is exciting. We basically tour work into schools throughout the year, normally in autumn and in spring, sometimes at Christmas, but it's all Scottish work or work that's been made in Scotland. And one of the reasons why we introduced Theatre in School Scotland was to advocate for work in schools, but also for children to be able to watch work in schools, but also because there was loads of work going abroad to like China, Japan, Australia, that was really brilliant Scottish children's work, and it wasn't coming out into schools or going to children in Scotland. So we created this project, and it's still ongoing. So if anybody's interested in that, I've been working on it since day one, so I'd be interested to talk to people about it. Yeah. Oh, and just to say, so our team is a very small team. We love the EIF, but we're very, very different in size. So we're a team of 15, and that also includes 2 PhD students who are investigating different topics around the voice of the child and working with children and the perception of the children watching theatre. There's more information on our website. We have 3 full-time staff and 10 part-time staff. So you can see that we're very, very different in size. We do a lot of work, but a lot of that is done with freelance artists, freelancers that come in for our festival. But as a team, we're very small.
Oh, me, Virginia. Thanks very much. So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the festival. As Pamela said, it's one of our 3 strands. So this coming festival, which runs from the 24th of May until the 1st of June inclusively, is the 35th, believe it or not, Edinburgh International Children's Festival. This year we'll be working in 10 venues, all established venues across Edinburgh, presenting 13 pieces of work from, I should know how many countries, but I don't remember now off the top of my head, both from UK, Scotland and internationally. And we'll also be presenting 2 works in progress presentations. So we have 3 different strands of our festival. We have our school programme and our school audiences, we have our family audiences, and we have our delegates. And last year, I think, how many international delegates did we have, Pam?
I think we had 308.
308 international delegates, or delegates, they weren't just international. So that goes across Scotland. Anybody who wants to basically, who works in the industry or isn't interested in the industry can become a delegate and come and see the work. Was I going to say anything else about the festival? I think that was it. I'm going to hand over to Pam now to talk about audience-facing
Rules.
So we, like EIF, but in much smaller scale, we have front of house managers. So we're about to do some advertisement for some roles across the festival on Monday. So we're looking for some front of house staff, and that's a hands-on role. Doing kind of, I feel like you helped us by introducing what the roles were, which is great. Very, very similar. It's representing our festival, it's audience facing, it's working with our volunteers. But one of the main roles is basically, we don't have a separation between box office and front of house. So in most of our venues, and some of them we do, but most of our venues we don't. So that person looks after our box office system in that venue. We work with the Fringe as our box office provider. So they work alongside Imaginate not throughout the year, it's like 6 months before in ticketing. So we don't have like box office staff as such, apart from in the Fringe office. And in the main office, our main office, we do a lot of the ticketing as well. So we have a national schools project manager, and she deals with she's actually a full-time post. She works along Theatre and School Scotland, but also works with our festival, and she talks to schools and deals with all of the school ticketing. So that role is something that is a full-time role at the moment. It may come up if Julian leaves, but she's very good, so hopefully not. But so we have about between 13 to 15 front of house managers or supervisors and assistants, and they work across, we have venues from Portobello, a new venue this year is our Portobello Town Hall. We work in the Traverse, which is our main hub, with Storytelling Centre, Dance Space, all the kind of regular main venues. We work with medium-sized venues rather than large scale, and we don't often work site-specific, but we occasionally work site-specific. We have up to 50 volunteers, and they're essentially the public face of our festival, and really are there to bring the fun. And we are the funnest festival, I think, in Edinburgh. You get to wear an orange t-shirt. The role is very like working alongside us and learning sort of about a festival. It's a fun role. We don't expect volunteers to do that much. They are there to kind of be part of our festival, but not necessarily do a working role. But most volunteers say that they always come and have fun. They do like 3-hour shifts. They get to see the shows. It's very interesting. So if anybody wanted to come and volunteer this year, they could. Or if you know anybody else that might be interested, we're still looking for volunteers as well. We're going to be looking for a welcome desk coordinator. This is a perfect example of how you would stand at the welcome desk. We have a welcome desk that is at the museum, which is part of our family day. So we do a big family day, which is the start of our festival on the 24th of May. And basically the welcome desk coordinator is our kind of face for the delegates mainly, but at the museum they are the sort of customer care for our festival at the National Museum of Scotland. But the role is, we're looking for somebody who kind of is like organised, really friendly, and they'll be the first point of contact for mainly the delegates that are arriving from all over the world. They kind of deal with industry tickets, deal with passes, give people instructions of how to get to venues, just really be that sort of point of like where they can go to get information and like kind of make it smooth for delegates that have never maybe been in Edinburgh. Yeah, we'll be advertising that next week. So if anybody's interested in that, and I'm happy to speak to anybody about that. Well, one of the roles we also have that we've currently got employed, but we will be looking in the future for a new assistant producer. So we have an assistant producer who works for us, and it's a kind of developmental role. We look for people who want to kind of develop from a very early stage of producing up to, so far it's been almost a 2-year role where they've done 2 festivals. So the first festival they learn, the second festival they do it. Not all of it, but some of it. And they will focus on our family day and our delegate programme. But throughout the year, they kind of learn about producing, learn about running small events for us. And yeah, so we will next year, because it's, I always like make it no longer than a sort of 2-year contract or a 2-festival contract. And there's a reason for that, because one of the things that I noticed years ago, or we noticed as a company, that there was hardly any producers for young audiences in Scotland, and actually a lack of producers in Scotland in general. And what we realised was there was hardly any assistant roles. And there was assistant roles, but people were sitting in them and weren't moving. And so we created an assistant producer role that was kind of a developmental role. And it's so far been really successful. 2 producers that have worked with us throughout the years, Helen McIntosh and Izzy Sharman. They both work full-time as freelance, brilliant producers. And that's not all credit to us, that's credit to them. They're brilliant as producers. But yeah, so we're really interested in that sort of development of people's roles as well, and making sure that our industry, or the industry for children and young people, are continuing in Scotland, and we're continuing to have good people who want to work with that sector.
So we employ approximately 22 freelance production members of staff for the 9 days that we hold our festival. The roles include technical manager, which we have employed currently, assistant production manager, production assistants, stage managers, and technical stage managers. We also will be advertising on Monday for more technicians, more stage management, and also we're looking for a project manager this year, which is a new role to work alongside our assistant production manager on the family day and delegate work. So yes, so we basically put either a stage manager or a technician or both into every venue across the 10 venues that we work in. And they are the main conduit between all the companies that are in the venues and us back at the festival. Obviously, we can't be everywhere all the time. So it just, to problem solve any issues, it's a quick way to communicate back to us if there's any issues or if everything's going very well, which we hope. So yes, so you are given, as a member of production for the festival, you are given quite a lot of responsibility and time to sort of get into that role, but also very supported by experienced production managers and technicians.